The US couldn't fully control the Strait of Hormuz. And what happens next will shock you. On February the 28th in 2026, 13 million barrels of oil stopped moving, overnight, just like that. One country, Iran, had effectively turned 21 miles of water into the most powerful economic weapon on the planet. And the United States, the country that spends more on its military than the next 10 nations combined, spent weeks trying to take it back. It still has not fully succeeded. Here's what actually happened. The moment the United States and Israel launched their surprise attack on Iran, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps moved fast. They closed the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway through which 20% of the world's entire oil supply travels every single day. They launched 21 confirmed attacks on merchant ships attempting to transit. They laid sea mines beneath the surface, hidden, invisible, and requiring slow, dangerous mine-sweeping operations to find and remove. War risk insurance for any vessel attempting to cross became so expensive overnight that shipping companies simply refused to try. By March 2nd, not a single tanker in the strait was broadcasting its location signal. Traffic had dropped to zero. Trump responded immediately. He said the U.S. Navy would escort tankers through the strait as soon as possible. Then he threatened to obliterate Iranian power plants if the strait was not reopened within 48 hours. Then he demanded NATO and China help the United States reopen it. China ignored him. Russia ignored him. And what happened next revealed something that no American military commander wanted to admit publicly. Iran made one decision that cornered the United States completely. On March 26th, Iran announced that ships from China, Russia, India, Iraq, and Pakistan would be allowed to transit the strait freely. Later it extended this to Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines. That single move was a strategic masterstroke, because now if the United States used full military force to seize control of the waterway, it would be simultaneously blocking Chinese oil shipments. China imports 40% of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Stopping Chinese vessels would mean economic warfare against the world's second-largest economy. A country with its own nuclear weapons. A country with its own responses available. The United States suddenly found itself unable to go all the way. Because going all the way meant starting a fight with China at the same time. The military constraints were just as real. When Trump finally announced a full US blockade of the Strait of Hormuz after the Islamabad talks collapsed in April, what the military actually implemented was far more limited than those words suggested. US Central Command clarified that the blockade applied only to ships entering or leaving Iranian ports, not to the strait itself as an international waterway. Blockading an international strait entirely is illegal under maritime law. The United States could not seal it completely without violating the very legal frameworks it uses globally to argue for freedom of navigation, so America was stuck, trying to pressure Iran through a partial blockade while legally unable to go further. And even that partial blockade had limits. Iran has geography on its side in a way that no amount of American naval power can simply overcome. The strait is only 21 miles wide. Iranian forces sit on the northern shore and can see every vessel attempting to cross. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps operates small, fast attack boats specifically designed for these confined shallow waters, vessels that are extremely difficult for large American warships to counter in such a narrow choke point. An Iranian military analyst said it plainly: if Iran does not give safe passage, it is simply impossible for the American military fleet to move freely in the Strait of Hormuz. And the facts backed her up. When 2 U.S. destroyers attempted to transit the strait for mine-clearing operations, Iran claimed its forces warned them off and one vessel turned back. The United States denied it. But 2 sides telling completely different stories about the same stretch of water in real time tells you who is actually in control of the narrative there. By mid-April 2026, the situation had settled into something nobody had wanted. More than 10,000 American personnel, over a dozen warships, and over 100 aircraft were deployed. Daily vessel transits had fallen from over 130 before the crisis to near zero. Iran was losing an estimated $435 million per day. But here is the detail that almost nobody reported. Iran had reportedly lost track of some of the mines it planted in the strait, meaning the waterway was not even safe for the vessels Iran wanted to let through. The strait was dangerous for everyone, including Iran itself. The IMF cut its global growth forecast because of this crisis. Oil above $100 per barrel means higher prices for food, fuel, fertilizer, plastics, and manufacturing for every country on Earth. Germany, the United Kingdom, France, and the European Union all refused to support the American blockade. China called it a dangerous and irresponsible act. The world was watching the United States, the most powerful military force in history, unable to fully impose its will on 21 miles of water. And here is the uncomfortable truth that this crisis revealed. Military superiority does not automatically mean control. The United States can defeat Iran in an open military exchange. It demonstrated that across 40 days of strikes. But defeating a country in the air does not mean you control its coastline. It does not mean you control the mines already sitting on the seafloor. It does not mean you can legally blockade an international waterway under maritime law. And it does not mean you can force ships through a corridor where China and Russia have decided they prefer the existing arrangement. Iran proven something in 2026 that military planners have known for decades, but that politicians rarely want to say out loud. A determined adversary with geography, asymmetric weapons, and great power support behind it can deny passage through a critical waterway at an acceptable cost to itself, even against the full military pressure of the United States of America. The strait is technically open today, but Iranian forces are still patrolling one shore. American warships are still patrolling the other. The ceasefire is fragile, the mines are not all cleared. And the next incident, one drone, one miscalculation, one vessel in the wrong place, could close it again within hours. 21 miles of water, the most powerful navy on Earth, and the oil only flows when both sides allow it to.